Okay, guys. So a few things on Bruxie. What we're gonna need to finish this up. Number one, I want you guys to focus on the responsive. There's obviously some issues here with the responsive. Here, I'll point them out. For example, the words are stacking. We don't want them to stack. When you do the responsive, we want them to stay the way they are originally laid out. When you have a full screen, let me show you. So the way they look here, in one line versus two lines, is exactly how we want them to look when you start doing responsive. So right here they're stacked. We don't want them this way. We want them to be one line like this. Now I want you guys to target at minimum iPad, iPhones, laptop, and a large screen. The large screen is basically there. There's some other things. I'll point that out too. But for the most part, iPad, iPhones, laptop, at the very least, we got to target those. Another thing, you can see that this whole section is not centered. It is centered. It is technically centered. But since we have this menu here, okay, since we have this menu right here, we have to center it from starting at this line to this line. Okay, so let me repeat that. This is technically centered. If you look at the code, the container's as wide as the screen. It's 100% width. So it is technically centered, but what we want to do is we want to make it look centered within this frame, starting here to here. Okay, and that means all this content just kind of shifted to the right a little bit. And I say that now because I want you guys to keep that in consideration when you guys start doing the responsive and you have to minimize the screen. For the most part, it looks pretty decent when you do responsive, but just keep that in mind. It has to be centered. Okay, so number 3 is the headers. All the headers that are in red. So this header, these headers, you scroll down, you see more headers here. So all the headers that are in red, what we want is we want the container around it to fit the length of the word. Okay, so this is a good example right here. Kids and tasty sides. Kids and tasty sides looks like the container around it is wrapped around pretty well. That's the example for the correct way to do it. Tasty sides and Bruxie for kids is, if you look at these headers, this is the incorrect way to do it. Now that's the way it's laid out right now because I think it's at 100% width. Well, what I want is these containers to wrap around the length of the word the way this container is wrapped around this length of these words. So let me repeat that. Hopefully I'm not confusing you guys, but this is a correct example of the way this red container wraps around these words. This is an incorrect way to do it because you see all this space that's on the sides here. We're trying to get away from that. What we want is the container to wrap around nicely around each word. So this is a good example that you can use right here. Kids and tasty sides is the example, and carry that to all containers that are all headers that have the red container. Okay, another thing, let's see. Now we're doing columns of 2 and 3. So this is a 2 column. This is a 2 column. You can see here this is a 3. Here's another 2 column. Here's another 2 column. Another 2 column, and then 3. So 1, 2, 3. Each one of these is a column. And I'm bringing that up because number 4, what I want you guys to do is try to tighten this up a little more. And what I mean by tighten up is, here, let me show you an example. So this is a good example of 3 columns that are tightened up pretty well. The distance between one column to the next that you can see here is not so big. It's not a huge gap. This will be the example for item number 4 that I'm looking for Bruxie, and that is the space between each column. So when I say tighten up, I mean let's make this, you know, about this width, the width that's right here. You can see that this is a lot larger. Okay, so that means you would tighten it up to this width. same thing here. Same thing here. Same thing here. Same thing there. So just look at all these. So for item number 4, the prime example is use signature salads as the prime example of 3 columns that are tightened up really nicely. So let's do that. And like I said, keep in mind, item number 1 was the responsive. I think it was. So when you guys are doing this, just keep in mind the responsive aspect of it. We want it to look nice all across the board. We're trying to close this out by tomorrow. If we can do that, that's a big deal, because we're reaching the end of the month and we're trying to close this out, and we got like a 4-day weekend, and you know, we're trying to close this out. So if you guys can take care of those 4 items for the menu page, we're going to be in a really good place. So item number 5 is going to be the locations page. This I haven't reviewed this, but from what Ben is saying, it doesn't completely work. So let's make sure this works. If this works, in other words, I can upload different right now it looks like I can't even scroll down here to view the rest of these down here. There's a lot of stuff in here that does work, which is good, but there's a lot of stuff in here that doesn't work. So whatever needs to happen to make this work, whether it's fixing the scrolling on this, being able to, you know, have this hooked up to Gorilla Tools, and I can go in there and I can upload my own images, so I can do that tomorrow. If you guys there's images in Basecamp. If you guys get to it, go ahead and upload it, but it's more important that you guys get this to work. So just make sure this is fully functional by tomorrow, because we got a meeting with the client like around 3 o'clock, and if we can show them that this is complete, that's going to be another, you know, piece that will help us close this out. Last thing we want to do is we want to make this section here parallax. So let me show you an example. BBGO USA. Come on. So if you scroll down here and you see this area here, I think it's maybe this area down here. Yeah, the area with the wood right here. So we want it to be parallax like this. You can put this wood area in use this graphic here that's behind our story on BBGO and place it here, and then tomorrow I will add in the chalkboard graphic myself. So just use this for now. Just get the parallax in there, and then I'll fix this tomorrow. So that'll be the last thing that I'm looking for this section. If you guys can also do, actually, one more thing. No, that's it. Alright, so that'll be the last thing. Parallax on this section, just use the BBGO graphic, the wood graphic, and then tomorrow I'll switch it out. And I think that's pretty much it, and we can close this out.